So what is a Christian band? I recently had a chance to connect with Sony Music Nashville-based band Red, and man, did they have a lot to say about that question. Reality is a lot of bands are touring under the Christian label, but what does that mean? Stick around, you've got yourself a backstage pass. Welcome to Backstage Pass, I'm Clinton Foppel. Tonight we're going backstage with the band Red, a band with 2 great albums under its belt, and a band with a reputation for going on the road with a lot of mainstream acts. But what is a Christian band? Is it just a title, or is there more than that? So who is the band Red?
I think a lot of what we hear is just the battle between what people see coming from our ministry. I think kids are just so confused by what it is that we do as a band. There's a lot of kids that know what we're doing, obviously fans of the band, and we see, on the Facebooks and stuff, the kids that leave comments and stuff like that. Like, it's just kind of this endless battle between these arguments between, who we are as individuals and band members, and just kind of what we are as a group of guys. And it's neat to see where kids' heads are as far as, well, these guys are about this. No, they're not because they do this, or no, they're not because they do that. And it's just neat to see people's interpretation of what we consider ourselves to be. So.
People don't want to be preached at. They look at this world and they think, you know what? Christians are judgmental. They're always accusing, always attacking, and always closed-minded, or at least that's what most people think. The question is, isn't God bigger than the Christian bookstore?
We wholeheartedly believe that God is bigger than the Christian bookstore. We're, from day one, have been a band that has tried to push the boundaries of just being a quote-unquote Christian band. Early on, it kind of annoyed us to be called a Christian band because, we're Christian guys and we love Jesus and we go to church, and we were brought up in those kind of families and homes and stuff, and that's who we are. But at the end of the day, we're Christ followers, and we're going out there trying to find, people that want to listen, because nowadays people don't want to listen. They don't want Jesus and God shoved down their throat. People don't like being told what they're doing wrong, including us. So for us to go out there and be these judgmental idiots that they expect us to be, and then us not to be that, really kind of changes their perspective on what Christianity can be like. I think we're all responsible for the image problem that's taken place with the word Christian, and Jesus has always caused this kind of angst when you hear his name, but when you hear Christian, it just kind of ticks people off. Like, oh gosh, here we go, another Bible bashing idiot, and definitely the circles that we roam in, for sure. And we've done. 90% of our career has been in the mainstream market and touring with big bands, and they expect. We were really scared at first, and we received some stereotypes and stuff. But I think a few weeks into these tours and getting to know these bands and spending some months at a time on the road with them, those stereotypes are gone. And they're telling people, they're like, those guys get it, and those guys make me want to believe in God. And they're not saying what we thought maybe they might say just from the experiences they had earlier on. They're saying things that that we wanted, that we were hoping they would say.
As a band that's out there touring day in and day out with a lot of mainstream acts, it's encouraging to hear that these guys get it. At least if they're out doing whatever it takes to let people know, the people that might never otherwise hear, that there's a God and that He loves them, that He cares about them, and that they can have a one-on-one relationship with Jesus Christ. Stick around, you're watching Backstage Pass. It's hard to watch when Christians end up fighting with other Christians. Or, worse yet, when Christians attack non-believers. The band Red had a ton to say about how we all hate stupid people.
We all hate stupid people. We do. Everybody hates stupid people. You hate it when somebody cuts you off in traffic. You hate it when somebody asks you a stupid question. I hate it when somebody asks me if I'm his twin. I'm just kidding. But I think that's what we've been doing wrong. We've been being stupid with our faith and with what we believe. And it's, we go on our MySpace page and we go on our YouTube page and we see kids fighting. We see Christians going into these websites and fighting with non-Christians about what kind of band we are, what kind of video this is, what we meant by this, and they have no clue what we meant by it. They're just making something up just to sound important. And we're wasting so much time not even getting along with ourselves instead of getting out there and trying to get along with people, and do what we were asked to do, and that's to love on people and be, people of faith and show people why we have faith, You go up and ask, over half the Christians in this world why they have faith, and they can't tell you. Well, they just have, they have these reasons that would not make somebody from an outsider's perspective, latch on. So I think that's the kind of Christians we're trying to be. Of course we don't have everything figured out. We're not perfect, and we also hate it when people put bands like us and Skillet and rock bands up on a pedestal and expect us to be perfect, because we're not. And we always use the analogy that Tiger Woods is the greatest golfer ever in the history of man, yet he doesn't win every single championship that he plays. So we're considered to,
we're the biggest Christians in the world, but
yeah,
it's kind of a glaring analogy.
Yeah, because we're in a band, and because we're in a band, and we do Christian festivals, and we release records and stuff. People, we made the mistake when we were kids too, thinking that these guys we looked up to, Toby Mac, and they were perfect, and then you get older and you find that everything the world is not as perfect as you thought it was, and it's like, okay, well now I have this bitter taste in my mouth. Whereas what the problem is we're following the wrong example in the first place. Everybody's following each other's examples when the only example they should be following is Christ's example. He's the only true example we can follow.
Well, you heard it there. Whenever we set a band up on a pedestal, we set ourselves up for failure. As Red said, there's only one who's perfect, and that's Jesus, and he deserves to be the one that we exalt. Stick around. You're watching Backstage Pass. Hi, and welcome back to Backstage Pass. You and I are created with unique gifts, and the band Red had a lot to say about how they had been uniquely gifted to minister to a unique group of people. Take a listen to what they had to say.
It means going in there and being who you are, being who God created you to be. And if he created you to be, the kind of the go-getter, I'm going to go talk to everybody and be this open-minded guy, or I'm going to be the quiet guy and just hang back and let somebody come to me. But when they do, I'm open to talking and stuff. Everybody's different, but I think he created us to be who we are. And in those situations, he's going to give us the opportunity to witness in our way. And it's not going to be in a way that we think is cheesy, because he knows that we're not going to go for it, in our head. And, he created us, for a reason. So there's going to be somebody who's going to be able to, we're going to be able to get somebody on base, and somebody else is going to be able to, knock the run in, And I think that's what we are as a band, is we're seed planters. And we get people interested in what we're interested about. Not necessarily, I'm going to do what they're doing, but I'm kind of interested because these guys are cool. They seem to, get along with everybody. They're, they get it. They're not, judgmental. They're not this and that. I want to maybe look into that. And later on down the road, that seed that was planted, by Red years ago, could manifest and turn into a huge oak tree, And that's what our hope and prayer is. And that there's nothing we can do past the point of planting that seed. It's all Jesus from there.
Did you hear that? Non-cheesy seed planters. I love it. You and I are uniquely created to serve the people that God has placed us in. But how are we going to plant the seeds? How are we going to be bold so that we can get the message across that God cares, that God loves? Stick around. You're watching Backstage Pass. Hi, and welcome back. The reality is that if we're Christians, if we're Christ followers, we have the light of Jesus within us. But the world that we live in is often dark, depressing, discouraging. The question is, do you have the light in you?
Yeah, it's cool because kids don't ever really get to hear us ask questions to them. And I think one of the things that I would ask right off the bat is, why does it matter? Why does it matter so much to our fans sometimes when we go on these tours, these big mainstream tours. Why does it matter? Why does it turn into such a verbal warfare with, on these websites and forums where these guys are touring with mainstream bands? How dare they throw their pearls to the pigs, so to speak? And it blows our minds. And it's just like, on our hearts, it's like, what we've learned is that, if God was here right now, he wouldn't be hanging out in a church. He'd be hanging out in a bar right where we are right now, talking to everybody. You know what I mean? Like, it's not about, we're not out there recruiting Christians. We're just out there being in a light in a dark place. And a lot of people really have an issue with that. It's like, we have a lot of kids that are huge fans, which is awesome. We love that they can latch on our music the way they do, but their families won't let them come see us because we're playing in a bar, or their families won't let them come see us because we're playing in a club or a dance club or whatever. It's that it's not a church setting, that it's not a festival, Christian festival. And it's like, kids get so amped up when they finally get the chance to see us on a tour that's quote unquote Christian tour. It's great because we, whatever happens as far as where we go and what we do, it's, we want people to have the chance to see us, and we understand that there are boundaries that parents set, and that's very important. Very important, because that's another foundation that needs to be very strong, is that, they need to teach them from the very beginning that, you need these core values. But what we've seen since we've left the nest, so to speak, is that those core values have kept us, coming back to that nest, coming back to that foundation that we have, spiritually. And it's, we've been mixed up in a lot of crazy things, and to see the kids get so wrapped up in the fact that we're out there in the dark places, that I don't know if they're worried for us, if they're nervous for us, that we're going to get sucked into this lifestyle that's that's going to be damaging to us. That's going to, spiritually be, the murder.
I think they're worried about how the band's going to be perceived, and we've been doing this touring for almost 5 years.
And that's what we're trying to change. We're trying to change that, because of who we are as guys. We're trying to change that perception, that we want kids to see that it doesn't matter where we go, it doesn't matter what we do and what show we play with. We just did a show with Rob Zombie. He is like.
Pagans, 666,
everything.
Yeah,
It's this rock and roll horror show from beginning to end. It's a very, he flirts with a lot of, demonic things, and it's like, we got a lot of guff for doing that show, and it's just like, why? We just don't understand. It's we're there still doing what we do. It's like, do you just want those people to be immersed in all of that, or do you want them to get a taste of what we're all about? And it's, like I said, we're not out there recruiting people. We just, we love how we feel. We know how the feeling that we have being spiritually being saved by grace, and we want people to share that with us. And it's just an amazing feeling to know that regardless of who you are and what we've done or what we do, that we can be brought out of anything. And music does that for us. And to give them that is what's important to us.
So are you hearing this? There's more to being a Christian than just a label. There's more to Christianity than just a social club. We're called to be light in a dark place. That means we're about boldness, about love, and about caring about the people around us. Stick around. You're watching Backstage Pass. So what are Christians known for in our world? Well, unfortunately, it's not good. Judgmental, closed-minded. The band Red knows all about it because they're being accused from all angles. But they're setting the record straight with the mission field that God has placed them in.
I always tell the people about this book that I'm reading. It's called Unchristian. It's an author called named David Kinnaman, and the whole book is about a 3-year study that he and this other guy did about what the world's view of Christianity is and why we should care. And they did a survey, a national survey, and they asked, when you hear the word Christian, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Like, what are Christians known for? And they were saying the overwhelming majority was like, Christians are known for being against this. They hate this group of people. They don't like this. They're against this. They don't stand for this. And there was no kind of answers like they're known for loving on these people. They're known for taking care of this group of people. They're known for whatever. They're not known for these kind of things. They're known for being against everything. So why would somebody who has an outsider's perspective want to be part of something that's against everything? Or it seems like it is. That's not to say
it just kind of reminds me of like back in the day, like what Jesus was kind of dealing with the Pharisees and everything. They were trying to live their lives by the letter of the law, and Jesus was like, that's not the way it is. It's like if you look at a woman in lust, then you've already sinned. It's like the whole point of it was like, you can't, whatever you do, you cannot do it on your own. It's like that's the whole point of why Jesus came and died on the cross. It's like we need to live by his example and get out there amongst the people that are hurting and that need, help.
It's scary to think too, like we talk about those fights and stuff that we see online all the time. That is Satan right there at work. He's got those people fighting against each other and wasting precious time being stupid. And like I said, we were there. I was there. I know all of us. You go through stages as a Christian, and we had a friend who accepted Christ and used to be a tattoo artist and did Ozzy Osbourne and just huge artists that you would view as today like, wow, they're they were kind of demonic in their day and stuff like that. But he was so on fire for God, going to church every day, carrying a Bible in his back pocket, this and that, which is great. I think everybody starts off there. It's like it's new, it's fresh. I want as much of it as I can possibly get. And then he got to this middle stage where it's like, I don't really know who my friends are. I don't know who these people are. And he'd call. I had a shouting match with him. I was on the phone with him. I was sitting next to a pool in San Antonio, and I had a shouting match with him. And he was telling us that I don't even know if you guys are my friends. And we're like, you know what, man? Someday you're gonna look back on this conversation and feel so stupid that that you put us in the same categories you put the other people in your life that are using you and this and that. And sure enough, it came full circle 6 or 7 months later that this guy was like, man, that conversation, whatever. I don't know what kind of stage he's at. It's not for me to judge or whatever. But then you get to this part where you understand that being a Christian is having a relationship with Christ, period. So it's like having a relationship with your parents, because God is our Father. And my relationship with my father is not perfect. I don't call my father every day. I don't this whatever. Whereas, it's more of a chore. Whereas I can just look up or just say something to Christ anytime I want to. It's like you've got a one-on-one relationship with the Creator of the earth, and you're
You don't need a cell phone signal.
Yeah, you don't need a cell phone signal to communicate. And you start to understand that God uses you when He needs to use you, and you understand that you're a vessel for His use. And instead of I gotta prove to the world that I love Jesus, so I'm gonna put it on my T-shirt, and I'm gonna walk around these Christian festivals, and I'm gonna blast my Christian music, and it's all about what I'm putting out, what I'm putting off. Whereas I would rather walk up to the kid that's wearing camouflage and a trench coat than some idiot who's walking across the festival saying virginity rocks, because that guy just sticks out to me like, okay, whatever. Whereas this person probably needs a friend, and I don't know. It's you can't say these kind of things because people have fragile egos, and it's you don't ever want to.
We all kind of came from that.
Yeah, in the position that we're in, we don't have the ability nowadays. Everything's so political. Like,
don't listen to AC/DC.
We don't have the ability to say the things that we want to say, because it's. If that were the case, we're not going to get through to the people that we want to get through in the time that we have.
God uses you when He wants to use you. Are you going to be bold to respond to the placement He has given you in your one and only life? Stick around. You're watching Backstage Pass. Sometimes we forget that we have the architect of the universe on our side. He's created us. He's given us the life that we're living right now. And so with that, we need to have boldness. I think oftentimes we're so afraid to share what it is that is truth because we're worried about judgment from the people around us. But if we share that boldness, if we share those statements in love, God can do some mighty things.
Even doing interviews like this, we feel like we just have to wear of that cloak of safety, where we have to be even careful now about what we say and being amongst friends, Christian friends and believers in the same things that we believe in, and because there's just, like you said, people are so fragile, and they don't like even the things that we're saying that kids are going to see on this interview. There's kids that aren't going to agree with us, and that's okay. I mean, that's just it's just hard for us because, as musicians and as guys that are on stage and kids that look up to us and see us, they want to know that we've got it all together, and they want to see that we've got a plan, and we're executing that plan 100%. And I think it scares kids when we can actually push back and ask them the same questions, and have, you know, not so much angst in our tone, but have like this, you know, we're just as confused as you are about where we are in our walk. There's things that we're confused by that we don't get and we don't understand, and that, you know, it gets exhausting. It's exhausting.
Need to know that it's okay to question.
Yeah, it's exhausting for us as a band to you know,
whatever's going on in your life, whatever
to hold back.
Somebody
it
may
really
be
is,
dealing with.
You know,
like I just kind of think back to like Job, some of the things that he was dealing with in the Bible, and you know, he was an upright, like a really, really good man that so many things happened to him. And people were like, well, you're definitely, there's something going on in your life, you're sinning. And he's like, no, I'm not, you know. And to the point where he like questioned God, like, why is this happening to me? And it's like, we're not going to know all the answers in this life, but we should know that, you know, God is with us no matter what we're going through. And then it's okay to ask those questions. It's okay to be, you know, angry or be, you know, hurt.
Yeah, there's examples of that every day in our life. What he just said, you know, there's from all the different stories in the Bible. There's examples that happen in everyday life, and you know, like I said, it just gets exhausting for us as a band to, you know, we have a lot of things to say, and there's a lot of things that we want to talk about, but you know, we have to be safe. We have to live in that comfort zone, you know, safe for the whole family sort of thing. And it's like, you know, a lot what these people need to see, or the, you know, the kids that are watching this interview, or their parents that are watching it with them, is that we're the kids that your kids should be friends with. Whether you know it or not, we're seasoned. We understand we're a group of guys that have been literally more or less like, you know, bred to know who God is, and
we're really cool.
Yeah. and the things that we're saying, you know, like I said, you have to understand that we're at a different place in our walk than new Christians would be, or kids that are kind of, you know, walking that middle road. And you know, there's things that we've learned as adults. You know, we're grown men. We all have wives and kids and families, and there's just things that we've been able to, you know, we've been so saturated in this Christian music industry that, you know, there's things that we've been able to be exposed to and see that, you know, that's not the way it used to be when I was growing up as a kid. Like I see what it's really like now, and this is what I want it to be. This is how we're gonna you know, chase this band thing down. This is what we're gonna do as a group, and you know, we just don't want kids and parents to be scared by, you know there's the things that we say. I mean, we have a lot of wisdom and a lot of knowledge that I think a lot of kids are reaching out to, and I think that that's why our popularity is grown, because, you know, kids are seeing that there's just something different, regardless of how scary we look, or, you know, how mean we look on stage or whatever. Like, there's something that kids are latching onto that their parents can't get through to, and their parents need to just embrace that. You know, like I said, have a leash in some manner, but like, let their kids figure it out, you know, and guide them. Like, be there to guide them, but let their kids find it out for themselves.
We're so thankful for the band Red and all that they stand for when they're out on the road. The question that we want to end the show with tonight is, are you playing it safe? Are you protecting yourself from the people that God has placed you in and around you? We're going to challenge you at the end of tonight's show to be bold, to care about those people that God has given you for your mission field. You know them. They are looking to you to be the one that shows them what it really means to be a follower of Jesus Christ. Thanks for watching. You've had a Backstage Pass.